This is my SQL tutorial series. We are going to continue to create stored procedures. Previously, we've seen how to create simple stored procedures. Then we created stored procedures with parameters in part 2, and this is part 3. We are going to create stored procedures with parameters, but in the out mode. Previously, we used the in mode. Now we are going to use the out mode, and then later on we'll be using the in, out, and then the in, out together. So you can use in and out together but separately, or you can use in, out together with even in mode. Okay, so now let's jump straight to the workbench. I'm going to open a script. So let's open a script, and we'll activate one of our databases. So you can see that my UPSA DB is already active. It contains what we call the HR sample database. So the HR sample database, I'm going to attach a text file to this video on YouTube so that you can download it and then practice with it. Okay, so uh, for those who may just be joining this particular um, tutorial, I'll advise that you go back to the previous ones. Yeah, but I'll still show some of the basic steps. So use UPSA DB. So UPSA DB. This is going to activate our UPSA schema or database for us, but it's already active. But I'm going to activate it nonetheless. Okay. All right. So now our UPSA DB is active. Let me clear the output pane here. All right. So once it is active, we can look at the tables we have in that database. So show tables. Okay. So these are the tables we have, and now let's look at the tables. We have 7 tables: employees, departments, dependents, countries, jobs. So, but we are interested in what? Employees table. The employees table here is the parent table. Almost all other tables are linked to this particular table or depend on this particular table. Because if you don't have employees, you may not even have functional departments. You can't have dependents. You may not have functional jobs, and so on. So let's look at the structure of the employees table. So let's say describe employees. Alright, so this is the structure of the employees table. We are interested in the full names because we'll be using them later on. And we can see that the employee ID is the primary key. So for instance, if you have to count, you want to count with the primary key because every employee will have a primary key. And then we also have department ID here. So the stored procedure we'll be creating will be a procedure that will count the number of employees in a department, provided we give the department ID within the procedure. Okay, because it's an out stored procedure, it means we will not be entering any parameter that will be used to output the employees for us or the employee count for us. Yeah. So it means we have to provide that parameter inside the procedure, unlike the in. So the in, you wouldn't provide it inside the procedure. You provide it at the time of using the procedure. Yeah, but this time it's only out. So we have to provide it within the procedure. Okay. So I hope that is clear. So now let's go to a new script, and then we'll begin to create our stored procedure. Yeah, so before you create stored procedure, I think it's a good practice to start by dropping that procedure. Yeah, you may not see the need when you are creating it for the first time, but If you are to reuse it or modify and reuse it, then you will find this particular step very important. So drop procedure, and this procedure is going to get all the employees in a particular department, yeah, provided the department ID is given inside the procedure. So let's say get, we are going to get it. Yeah, I have it there already because I've created a similar procedure before. So I'm just going to pick that name there. All right, so get, okay, drop procedure. Yeah, we have to bring if exists. Okay, drop procedure if exists. Okay, then we'll get, okay. So this particular command is going to drop the procedure if it exists already before it begins to create the procedure. So now let's create our procedure. We'll start with our delimiters. And like I said, because we can use the normal delimiters here, because we have a lot of what delimiters within the stored procedure, then we have to define our delimiter. So this time we are going to use the dollar sign as the delimiter here, and then let's create the stored procedure. So create procedure, get all employees in department. So this is going to be the procedure name. So let's pick it from here and then, okay, so create procedure, get all employees in department. Okay, so now we are going to create the out mode. So we'll say what out, okay, and then we'll now provide a variable here that will hold whatever output we want. Okay, so that I can call it, so let's say all department employees. So we can store it in all department employees. Yeah, and it's going to be a count. So we should define the data type as well. So let's say all, let me make it lowercase. So all department employees. Okay, so then we indicate the data type. So I want to use integer because if you are counting all employees in department, it should be a number, and then integer will be able to allow us to hold that number. So yeah, let's now begin the procedure. So let's zoom in a bit. Okay, so we can now begin the procedure. So let's say begin. Okay, then we'll go down here. We want to count all what employees in what the employees table, and then we are going to what store that value in what all department employees, or the out what variable we provided here. Okay, the out variable we provided here. So this variable could be anything. Okay, but you always want it to be somehow what explanatory. Yeah, it could be anything. We could just even use a variable, var1, var2, or any other thing. Okay, so now let's select count. So this is going to what count employees, and then if you are counting employees, you'll be counting what employees IDs. So let's say employee ID. Okay. Yeah, so this is where the structure of the table is important. So you can see how employee ID is written here, and you have to write it the exact same way. Okay. So we are selecting count into this particular what out folder. Okay, we are selecting what into this particular variable here. So let's just pick it, and then into, okay, so this is going to hold our output for us. Then where are we performing this operation, or which table are we working in? So from employees. So employees is the table where we are working in. Then we have to bring our condition here. So under what condition should the count be done? Okay, so we already know we are counting into what this particular out variable here, but and it's from what employees table, but under what condition or what should be the criteria for the counting to begin? So or it should just count all, yeah, employees. So we could, if we just wanted to count all employees in what yeah, all, yeah, employees in the employees table, that is also fine, but now we want it from a particular department, so we have to bring the department as our condition. So let's say where department id department ID is equal to 3. So when you look at the department IDs here, okay, so let's look at all the records in the employee table. So select all from what employees. Okay, so you can see that we have our department IDs here, and then we have IDs like 9, 10, 3. So actually it's from 1 to 11, okay? We have what department IDs from 1 to 11. So we can use any of these IDs inside the procedure. So I'm using ID 3. We could use what 10 and what add the delimiter there, and then we'll now end our procedure. Okay, then we bring what the procedure delimiters. Okay, so this is it. There are no syntax issue. Everything looks good. So let's execute the entire procedure. So let's use the execution button here. Alright, so our procedure is successful. Now it's time for us to call this procedure. So we can come here and then what call the procedure. Okay, so let me just pick the procedure name here and then we call it. Okay, so let's say call um, get all employees in departments. Then we are going to, yeah, now bring the out holder. So at, yeah, at, then we'll bring the out holder, which is, so this is the out holder. So this is holding whatever what computation we have done. So we'll bring it in here. Okay, so close the braces and put our semicolon. Yeah, but when we execute only this particular command, it's not going to give us any output yet, because to get the output we need to select. So it means we have to add a select statement to this. Okay, yeah, but separately. All right. Yeah, so let me try it and you see. Once we execute only this line, it has executed. All right, successful. This particular holder or variable is now holding whatever this procedure has done, whatever computation the procedure has done. But to see the output, you have to select this particular at all the department employees. We have to select this before we can see it. So normally you have to add a select statement as well. So select, okay, this is select all right, so let's bring our out. Okay, so let's put our semicolon and then what execute this line as well. So we have what um call what at all department employees, and then the number of what employees in that department is 6. Yeah, but this looks a bit Yeah, you don't want to the heading to be what at all department employees. So you can just make it, you can bring an alias here. So we can say as, let's say, department employees or all department employees. So as all, uh, so we can use, yeah, okay. So we can put it in quotes. So at all, so let's say perhaps employees. So all employees in departments. So let's say department 3. All employees in department 3. Okay. So let's close the quotes, and then this will change the heading for us. Okay, perhaps I can use uppercase here. All right, so let's execute this once more. All right, so you can see the heading has changed. Now we know these are all the employees in department 3, and there are 6 employees in department 3. So that is a stored procedure with what the out parameter. But now I want us to use the in and out together. Okay, so if we are to use the in and out together, okay, so let's modify this procedure so that we can use the in and out together. Okay, so to use the in and out together, we can bring the in first and the out later, or the vice versa, whichever one you want. It should be okay. So let's say in. Okay, so this time we want to enter a particular variable that will be an integer, and that will be what the department ID. Okay, so we can say department ID here, but we don't want it to be confused with the actual department ID, because this one, it can be any variable. Okay, so let's say department code or something, or department number. So we can just say department number. Okay, so that is the department number, and then the number will be what, an integer. Then we put what, a comma to separate them here. Okay, so let's zoom it in a bit. All right. So what we are doing here is that we are creating a procedure. Yeah. So you see why I wanted us to drop it if it exists. So it means the second time I'm recreating it or modifying it, it will still allow me to go through. But if you don't add this drop, if you try to recreate the procedure, it will tell you that the procedure already exists, so you can't create it. Because when you come to, let's refresh this, and then you look under procedures. So you see a number of procedures there. So once you have a procedure here, you can't create it again. Yeah. So if you want to recreate the same procedure, you have to drop it before. So you can see the drop procedure, if it exists, helps. So we just go straight. Then we say we have our delimiters, which is the dollar, or even if I want this time, I can change the delimiter to something else. Let's say we have used percent, we have used dollar. Okay, maybe let's use the pound here. Okay, uh, or the percent. Okay, let's use percent. Yeah, okay, then we change this one to percent as well. Okay, so let's come down, create procedure, get all employees in department. Now we want to enter a parameter that will be a number, and that number will be the department ID. Yeah, so we are saying we'll enter a department number here, and it will be an integer we'll be entering. Yeah, but when we do that, it should what, generate an output and place it on this particular what, holder, or this particular variable, and that will also be an integer, because it's going to be a count. So a count is a number, so both of them will be integers. All right, now let's begin. So we are selecting, if we are to count the number of employees, we'll be counting employees ID. So let's select count employee ID, into what? All, yeah, so into the out folder, okay, into this particular out folder. So into what? All department what? Employees. Yeah. And then where are we performing these computations from? It is going to be from what? Employees table. So we bring the name of the table. Then we'll bring down our condition here. So our condition is that this particular input we are adding, it should be equal to a department ID. So where department ID is equal to what? This input. So the difference is that yeah, with the out mode alone, you have to provide the parameter inside the stored procedure. But if you don't want to do that, you can provide a variable inside what? The stored procedure, and then use the in um, mode to enter it. All right, so we'll say what department number, so that once we provide any department ID later on, it will equate it to the department ID, and then yeah, the computations can go on. All right, so department number. Okay, so yeah, so that is it, and then our procedure has been created to take both what in and out what to take in a particular department number, which will be the department ID, and it will give us all what employees in that department. Yeah, so that is where it will hold it. Yeah. So now let's execute this. All right. So our procedure has been created successfully, and then we can now call the procedure. So let's get back to call the same procedure. Yeah. So we are calling what? Get all employees in what department, or I should call it from a different script. Yeah, so let's call it from a different script. So call um, all employees, get all employees. So let's call it from a different script. So call all employees. Then we'll now bring both what in. So we have an in parameter, which is, so here we can put the parameter there, which is 3, and then it will be at, so where you hold it. So let's say at all department employees. Yeah. So you know where I'm getting this from. Yeah, it's from what? The out folder. Employees, all department employees. So I don't know whether it's employee or employee. Let's confirm that. Yeah, so this is the out folder. So it's employees, all department employees. Yeah, so this particular one, we bring it right here. Okay, so that's all department employees. All right, so this is going to what um, call, and then the execution will be done, and it will be stored in what? All department employees. But to see our output, we'll have to what? Select at. So let's say select at. Okay, so select at all department employees. So all department employees. Okay, so this is going to do it for us. But in case we want to change what the name of this as the title of the field, then we can what? Use an alias here. Okay, so let's do it before we add the alias. So this time, if you have to execute, you have to highlight all and execute all, because we are in a what? In a script without any other commands, and then we just want to run both commands. We are going to use the first execution button here. So let's execute it. All right, so you can see all employees in the department is 6. So assuming we change the department ID here, so let's change it to 10, and then we'll execute it once more, and we'll execute everything. That is also 6. So let's change it to department 1. That is 1. Let's change it to department 2. Department 2 is having 2 employees. Department 3 is having 6 employees. Department 4, so we have 11 departments. It's having what, 1 employee. Department 5 is having 7 employees. Department 6 is having what, 5 employees. So that is it. You are using both in and out. Yeah, and then you can add your alias here. Yeah, so um so we can say all employees. So let's use a quote here. Employees department in what okay, yeah, let's just make it department. I wanted to say selected department. Yeah, department. Okay, so let's close the code, and then we can what execute it once more. Okay, um, let's execute it once more. Okay, so because I highlighted part of it, that was why we had the error. So that is it. Department 6, we have 5 employees. Department 5, let me make it department, sorry, let's go to department 5, and then we'll execute it. Space here. Okay. Okay, so let's get the department 5 here. Okay, so yeah, I always forget to bring the comma. There should be a comma there, alright? So let's change to department 5, and then we'll execute it. So that is 7 employees. Okay, so that is the end of the tutorial. I'll appreciate your subscription, and then your comments. And if you want to be notified, anytime I post a video like this, you can also turn on the notification button. Thank you, and see you in our next tutorial.